Hi, this is Greg, and I'm going to show you how to use BorisFX CornerPin effect to correct camera footage where the tripod wasn't level. Now, this works best with HD camera footage. First, we'll start by looking at this program that I'm working on, this little Media 100 Suite program I'm working on. You can see I have different camera angles here. Basically, I have a multicam timeline here, and I also have another track that I added in, some cutaways from a different camera. So I actually have multicam plus another camera on the B channel. What I'm concerned with here, I'll show you, I basically have these little user marks showing me where there's problems with the footage. These are actually in the original footage. They're in the multicam timeline part that's up here. Let me zoom in a bit and I'll show you. As you can see, this footage isn't level here. It's not level because my camera wasn't set level. It would have been nice to have spent another minute or two to level the footage, but I didn't. At the time of the event, I didn't have the camera as level as I should have. So I want to actually correct this. Now, with After Effects, you can easily correct something like this. I have After Effects, but After Effects is a little bit slow. I have an older version, so I'm going to try Boris Red inside Media 100, and I'm using an older version of Media 100. I'm using version 1.13. Let's take a look at how I'm going to correct this footage using the CornerPin effect. There might be another effect that will do it, but I didn't find another effect that would correct the problem. I would think that there'd be a way to just rotate the main container, but I haven't found that, and I did find that the CornerPin effect would work. So what we do is we're going to select the footage that we want to correct, and the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to actually export out a title. And I'm going to render this title, but I'm not going to use it directly in the timeline. I'm going to bring it back into the timeline later. So what I want to do is I want to select the footage that I want, which is this camera angle. As you can see, I have this timeline cut up quite a bit. So basically on my B channel, all the selects that I'm going to need, there is no excess footage here. I did this for another reason, but there is no excess footage here, so I'm going to actually be able to re-import and line up this footage in the B channel side to bring this footage back in. I'm going to export this out using Boris Red. I'm not going to bring it back in as a title. One of the reasons is if I was to bring it back as a title, I'd have to do this and somehow get rid of the title here, which is difficult. You know, this lead in, this roll in. There's probably another way of doing it, but it looks like right now they have this gradual lead in for the title. So I don't want to bring in the title footage directly. So here we are. We're going to go up, launch Boris Red. I hit the edit, and Boris Red will launch. Now I don't need this text window because I'm not putting any text in. We're going to do what you would, some basic stuff that you normally do in Boris. Kind of complicated. I haven't used Boris Red that much. I've used After Effects, but it has a lot of similarities to After Effects. What I have to do is I have to select a composition, create a new comp. I'm going to actually select comp 2 because I've just been doing this as a matter of routine. I'm going to add a container, a 3D container. Then I'm going to grab a copy of the footage from comp 1, bringing it into comp 2. Now we're editing comp 2. I just bring up the composite window. There's a few windows you have to use. Use control. Timeline's nice. Obviously you need timeline to add the container. You need the control window. You're going to want to leave this composite window open to render. The project window obviously is open. So in the composite, I'm going to select in the composite window BCC CornerPin. Now, you know, CornerPin is a perspective thing. So I would select it here normally, but I've selected it recently, so I'm just reselecting it again. Now I've selected the CornerPin, and you can see that there is, the way I have this set up, you're going to have to go through this a bit, but it's displaying the background, which is this second clip. And I can move and stretch the video to get a new perspective. Basically, I'm going to bring the corner pins out to where it actually brings up this video. Now, rather than labor each time and try to find the right position for this every time I open this up, I already have this written down. Fairly good setting. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for this project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go to the controls window And for this project, I've already pre-selected. I'm making all the clips about the same. I thought at one time making them slightly different to make it look like the back camera's moved a little bit between shots, but I'm not going to worry about that. Not that it's moved, but it's been rezoomed a little bit slightly. So these are the figures that I'm going to put in here. Bear with me while I type these in. I have 91 clips that are cutaways to the rear camera. I was actually surprised how many I have. Will take quite a bit of time rendering. By following some other tips, making sure all the other programs are closed, and that there's plenty of memory for Boris. Boris runs fairly quick compared to what it was running earlier when I first started this project. It's running about 3 times faster because I just don't have other programs running, but it's still relatively slow. For 24 minutes of footage, I calculated it would take 18 hours to render all that footage, 24 minutes of cutaways. Basically, it'll render 3 times faster now the way things are running, but that's still quite a few hours, and I have to set the setting for each clip. I wish I could copy these to, between BorisFX sessions, but I can't, so I have to type these in every time. There may be a way of doing that. I don't know that technique. So basically, I just have a card with these numbers written down, and I just have it sitting by my Mac, and I'm using that right now. So now that we're done, all we have to do is render. And I'm going to render this out. I'm actually rendering this out at a very, I'm exporting out the footage into a movie file. I have to render both upper and lower fields, and I'm going to give it a name. This is the 40-second clip, I believe. And I type save. Hopefully it's 40 seconds. Yep. And now it's going to export it out. You can see Boris is rendering this out. When it's done, I'm going to close Boris. I'm not going to apply it to the timeline because I don't want that title there. And then later I'm going to have these clips. I'll show you where those clips are. Those clips are going to be, right now they're just going to this external drive. They take up quite a bit of space because I'm rendering with animation codec. So you can see some of these clips take up quite a bit of space, and they're going to actually stutter when they play inside the timeline because I don't have the drive array power to play these things at their native rate inside Media 100, but that doesn't matter for my final render, and I have all my edits pretty much locked down the way I want them. So that's my quick message, or I should say quick tutorial, in how to use BorisFX, the CornerPin effect, to correct this camera level and make it look a little better. Also, I wanted to point out that the this keyframe tab has to be set to hold, and hold values at start and end because I don't want any keyframes. This isn't moving at all. The basic setting is the same throughout the whole set of footage. That's a basic keyframe thing, but I had to find that. Not using a tool like this for a while. It took me a while to find it, so that's what you'll need when you're doing a straight render and you don't want to put in a bunch of keyframes and you don't want anything, the video moving around. I obviously don't want that CornerPin effect tumbling or anything.